Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and this is House of the Dying Sun. It came out of early access at the beginning of November and is now a fully fledged, officially released game. With the version 1 release came a bunch of new updates, but before we get to them, let's talk about just what House of the Dying Sun is. Now, I have played this a few times on this channel. I did a playthrough back early during the year, but if you haven't watched that or if you haven't heard much about it, it's basically a tactical space shooter. Now, you play out the game from within your ship's cockpit, but you can also issue various commands to your fleet. Your fleet grows as you progress through the game, and you gain other fighters, you gain interceptors, and eventually you even gain capital ships into your fleet, and all of these you can issue commands to. Now, there are two very interesting twists to this game. The first is that you can switch between these smaller ships and take control of them directly, therefore going straight into the cockpit and flying them yourself. The second twist is that you can also have a tactical overview, and you'll see that in action in a little while. But basically that gives you an RTS type view of the battlefield and allows you to issue somewhat simple commands to your fleet. The flight model is actually pretty nice. It leaves behind lateral and vertical thrusts in favour of drift, as you can see me using here. Simply holding down the spacebar will enable the ship to continue on in its current direction. You can also set the velocity of the ship, which also extends to full-on reverse, and you also have a afterburner or thrust forward, which seems to be pretty much unlimited. One of the new additions that come with the release of the game is the challenge mode. Now, this is essentially a wave combat. You defeat one wave and the next will come. It's essentially endless. You can't actually get to the end, so inevitably you will die. But the point is getting as far as you can, and the people with the highest score, or the longest time rather, will end up on the Steam leaderboards. Now, this is actually a nice addition to the game because it does extend the life and value of it somewhat. And ultimately that is something that is really needed because the campaign itself is a little bit on the short side. So the challenge mode then is here for veterans of the game, and it's only unlocked once you complete the main campaign. And the campaign is where the bulk of the game is. Now, unfortunately, there's only around 15 missions there, and it's quite easy to get through them. There's reports of people completing this game in around about 1.5 hours, so certainly you won't want to be heading into this if you're looking for something that's long term. Yet what's here is very well constructed. Unlike many games, you won't find yourself the heroes here. You're actually the arbiters of the dead emperor. Your job then is to quell the traitorous uprising of the nobility and the common folk. And all of this will play out over the campaign's missions. You start off at the initial system, and once you complete the mission there, you'll get the opportunity to progress onto one of 2 or one of 3 different missions, and the game will unfold like that until eventually you reach the homeworld of the uprising. You begin the game without so much as a fleet, just a few ships, and you have to make your way through the early stages of the campaign like this. But as you progress, you pick up new armaments, new ships, and eventually capital ships. This gives the game a really nice learning curve and slowly eases you into the multiple aspects of the game. Each time you begin a mission, you're offered a selection of multiple difficulty settings, with the higher difficulty giving more rewards and thus giving you points to contribute towards better unlocks. There's always a time factor to any of the missions. Hang around too long and eventually the traitorous flagships will arrive. These bring with them immense firepower to the battlefield, and for many people will spell their doom if they hang around too long. Yet one of the new updates has turned this into a new area of the gameplay. If you're up for a particularly interesting and immense challenge, you can take on the flagship directly. This now effectively forms a subset of each campaign mission, allowing you to gain extra rewards and extra points for doing so. Each flagship is commanded by its own traitorous lord, so as you defeat them, you'll find that each flagship event is its own little scenario. Now, the visuals I actually find really nice. I think a lot of people are put off by the bright colours here, but it's something that I find quite appealing, and the whole game itself really does throw me back to the days of Free Space 2, a really nice space shooter, probably one of my favourite space shooters of all time. But in terms of environments here, aside from the beautiful coloured backdrop, sometimes a planet if you're lucky and a few asteroids, there's not really a whole lot going on. So what do I feel about the game overall then? Well, for me, I find the combat to be very engaging and very entertaining. Clearly the best aspect of the game overall. The problem is that the campaign is too short by far. And in terms of the game's price, It really is a little bit expensive for the amount of time that you're going to get out of this game. Yet on the other hand, if you're the type of person that loves to jump into a ship and have a bit of combat, you're going to find the challenge modes of this game to be really impressive, and you're probably going to get quite a lot of play out of it. So it's probably within the challenge mode that you're going to find the bulk of variety within the game. As for the campaign itself, it's something that I really did enjoy, and I'm glad I played it, and I'd gladly buy the game again, even for its current price. But I do again think it's a very steep asking price for the amount of time that you're going to get out of the game overall. But at the end of the day, House of the Dying Sun is a unique and impressive experience. And whilst there's certainly many other space games out there, a notable one to look at if you're into this type of game will be Everspace. I think House of the Dying Sun is more than capable of standing up on its own, despite the fact that it's got a very short playtime to it. If you've got more interest in the game, do check through my playthrough videos. I've linked them in the video description. And if you've played the game, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know all about it in the comment section. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.